Hello friends, and welcome to the story of Alice in Wonderland, created by George Perellis. The night was quiet. The stars twinkled like tiny diamonds scattered across a velvet sky, casting a gentle glow over the sleeping world below. The moon hung high, a silent guardian watching over the night. A gentle breeze rustled the curtains in Alice's bedroom. The soft, rhythmic sound was like a lullaby, whispering secrets of the night to anyone who would listen. The room was bathed in a soft, silvery light, making everything look almost magical. Alice was snuggled in her bed, her favourite quilt pulled up to her chin. She felt safe and warm, surrounded by her beloved stuffed animals. Her eyes were heavy with sleep, but her mind was still buzzing with the adventures from the book she had been reading. I was reading a book about a brave knight. The knight had just embarked on a daring quest to rescue a princess from a fearsome dragon. I could almost hear the clashing of swords and the roar of the dragon as I turned each page. Suddenly Alice heard a strange sound. Thump, thump, thump. It was faint at first, almost like a distant heartbeat, but it grew louder and more insistent. She sat up in bed, her heart pounding with curiosity and a hint of fear. It seemed to be coming from the garden. The garden was a place of wonder during the day, filled with vibrant flowers and chirping birds. But at night, it transformed into a mysterious realm where shadows danced and secrets whispered. Alice peeked out her window. The garden was bathed in moonlight, casting eerie shadows that seemed to move and shift. She squinted, trying to see what was making the noise. Her breath fogged up the glass, and she wiped it away with her sleeve. I couldn't believe my eyes! There in the middle of the garden was a white rabbit. But this was no ordinary rabbit. It was wearing a tiny waistcoat and holding a pocket watch. I rubbed my eyes, thinking I must be dreaming. A white rabbit in a waistcoat was rushing across the lawn. It moved with a sense of urgency, its little legs pumping furiously. The pocket watch swung from its waistcoat, glinting in the moonlight. The rabbit kept glancing at the watch, muttering to itself.
Oh dear, I shall be terribly late. The rabbit's voice was high-pitched and filled with worry. It didn't seem to notice Alice watching from the window. It was too focused on whatever urgent task lay ahead.
Curiosity bubbled inside Alice. She had always been a curious child, always asking questions and seeking out new adventures. This was the most curious thing she had ever seen, and she knew she had to find out more. She had to see where the rabbit was going. Without a second thought, she threw off her quilt and slipped out of bed. Her bare feet made no sound on the wooden floor as she crept towards the door. Alice raced after the rabbit. She didn't stop to think about the consequences or the dangers that might lie ahead. All she knew was that she had to follow that rabbit and discover its secrets. The night was no longer quiet. It was filled with the promise of adventure. The garden seemed to stretch endlessly before her, each step taking her deeper into the unknown. The rabbit's white fur glowed in the moonlight, a beacon guiding her through the darkness. She felt a thrill of excitement, her heart pounding with the promise of discovery. As she followed the rabbit, she noticed a small, ornate door hidden among the bushes. It was unlike anything she had ever seen, with intricate carvings and a golden handle that seemed to shimmer in the moonlight. She reached out, her hand trembling with anticipation. With a deep breath, Alice turned the handle and stepped through the door. She found herself in a fantastical world, filled with vibrant colours and strange, wondrous creatures. The air was filled with the scent of blooming flowers and the sound of distant laughter. She knew her adventure had only just begun. The white rabbit scurried into the garden, its fur glistening under the soft glow of the enchanted flowers. The air was filled with the scent of blooming petals and the gentle hum of magical creatures. The rabbit moved with purpose, as if it knew exactly where it was going. He stopped at an old oak tree, its bark twisted and gnarled with age. The tree seemed to whisper secrets of the forest, its leaves rustling softly in the breeze. The rabbit paused, its nose twitching as it sniffed the air, then looked around cautiously. At the base of the tree was a large rabbit hole, almost hidden by the roots and fallen leaves. It seemed to pulse with a faint, otherworldly light, inviting and mysterious. The rabbit glanced back once more before making its decision. Without hesitation, the rabbit jumped in, disappearing into the depths of the earth. The hole seemed to swallow him whole, leaving no trace of his presence. The garden was silent once more, as if holding its breath. I was filled with wonder as I peered into the hole. The light from within cast an eerie glow on my face, and I could feel the pull of the unknown. It was as if the hole was calling to me, urging me to follow the rabbit. It was dark and mysterious, the kind of darkness that seemed to hold secrets and adventures. The tunnel twisted and turned, its walls lined with glowing accents that provided just enough light to see by. I could hear the faint echo of my own breathing, mingling with the distant sounds of the rabbit's movements. Alice wasn't scared. She was too curious. Her heart raced with excitement as she took a deep breath and stepped closer to the hole. The world above seemed to fade away, leaving only the promise of adventure below. She decided to follow the rabbit, her curiosity getting the better of her. She moved quickly, her footsteps light and eager. The rabbit was just ahead, its white fur a beacon in the dim light of the tunnel. Down, down, down she went, the tunnel seeming to stretch on forever. It was like falling through a dream, the world around her a blur of colours and shapes. She felt weightless, as if she were floating rather than falling. It felt like a magical slide, smooth and effortless. The walls of the tunnel glowed with a soft, ethereal light guiding her descent. She could see sparkles in the air like tiny stars dancing around her. The walls were covered in glowing plants and strange clocks, each one ticking at its own pace. The plants seemed to pulse with life, their leaves shimmering in the light. It was a world unlike any she had ever seen, filled with wonder and mystery. Finally, she reached the bottom, landing softly in a new world. The colours were more vibrant, the air filled with the scent of unknown flowers. It was a place of endless possibilities, where every corner held a new adventure. Alice looked around in awe, her eyes wide with wonder. Enchanted creatures greeted her, their eyes twinkling with curiosity. A path lay ahead leading to the unknown, and Alice knew her adventure had only just begun. Alice landed with a soft thud. She had been falling for what felt like an eternity, tumbling through a tunnel of swirling colours and strange sounds. The ground beneath her was soft, almost like a cushion, and she took a moment to catch her breath and gather her bearings. She was in a strange and wonderful land. The sky above her was a patchwork of vibrant hues, and the air was filled with the scent of blooming flowers and the sound of distant laughter. It was a place unlike any she had ever seen, a land where the impossible seemed possible and the ordinary was extraordinary. Colourful flowers sang and danced. They swayed to a melody that seemed to come from the very earth itself, their petals shimmering in the sunlight. Each flower had a personality of its own, some shy and delicate, others bold and flamboyant. Alice couldn't help but smile at their joyful performance. Trees whispered secrets to each other. Their leaves rustled softly, carrying messages from one to another. Alice strained to hear what they were saying, but the words were just out of reach, like a forgotten dream. She wondered what secrets they held, what stories they could tell if only she could understand their language. Alice spotted the white rabbit in the distance. He was hopping frantically, his eyes wide with worry. She recognized him immediately, the same rabbit she had seen before, always in a hurry, always late. She felt a surge of determination. She had to catch up with him and find out where he was going. He was still muttering about being late. His voice was a constant stream of anxious chatter, punctuated by glances at his pocket watch. Oh dear, I shall be too late," he exclaimed, his ears twitching with agitation. Alice felt a pang of sympathy for the poor creature, caught in a perpetual race against time. Alice started to follow him, her feet moving almost of their own accord. She had to know where he was going. What was so important that he was always in such a rush? The path ahead was winding and uncertain, but she felt a strange sense of purpose guiding her steps. But then she saw something else. Out of the corner of her eye, she caught a glimpse of movement, something that didn't quite fit with the rest of the whimsical landscape. It was a flicker of light, a shadow that seemed to have a life of its own. Curiosity got the better of her, and she turned to investigate. A pair of glowing eyes appeared in the shadows. They were large and luminous, shining with an otherworldly light. Alice felt a shiver run down her spine, but she couldn't look away. The eyes seemed to be watching her, studying her every move with an intensity that was both unsettling and fascinating. The eyes belonged to a cat, a creature unlike any she had ever seen. Its fur was a deep, velvety purple, and its eyes glowed with a mischievous light. It moved with a grace that was almost hypnotic, its body seeming to blend with the shadows around it. But not just any cat. This was the Cheshire Cat, a creature of legend and mystery. Its smile was wide and knowing, as if it held all the secrets of this strange land. Alice had heard stories of the Cheshire Cat, but she had never imagined she would meet it in person. This cat was floating in mid-air. It defied the laws of gravity, hovering effortlessly above the ground. Its tail swished lazily, and its eyes never left Alice's face. She felt a mix of awe and apprehension. This was a creature of magic, and she had no idea what it might do next. It had a wide, mischievous grin, the kind of grin that suggested it knew far more than it was letting on. It was a smile that promised both trouble and adventure, and Alice couldn't help but feel a thrill of excitement. What secrets did this enigmatic creature hold? What guidance could it offer her in this bewildering land?
Hello, I'm the Cheshire Cat. Where are you going? Its voice was smooth and melodic, with a hint of amusement. It spoke as if it already knew the answer, as if it had been watching her all along. Alice felt a strange sense of comfort in its presence, despite the oddity of the situation.
"I'm trying to catch the white rabbit," she replied, her voice steady despite the whirlwind of emotions inside her. The Cheshire Cat's grin widened and it seemed to purr with satisfaction. "Ah, the white rabbit," it said, as if that explained everything. Alice felt a flicker of hope. Perhaps this strange creature could help her find her way in this topsy-turvy world. The Cheshire Cat's eyes twinkled with secrets, and its smile grew even wider. "Follow the path, and you will find what you seek," it said enigmatically. Alice nodded, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. She knew that her journey was far from over, but with the Cheshire Cat's guidance, she felt ready to face whatever lay ahead.
The white rabbit, you say? He's always in such a hurry, but tell me, which path will you choose? The path to the left leads to a mad tea party. The path to the right leads to the Queen of Hearts croquet game. Choose wisely.
The cat vanished, leaving Alice at a fork in the path. Alice bit her lip. Should she go to the mad tea party or the croquet game? What do you think Alice should do next? Alice took a deep breath and made her decision. She stepped forward, ready for the next adventure. Hope you enjoyed this. Stay tuned for more. Don't forget to subscribe.